research, innovation, and development has made great strides forward throughout the world. The fisheries industry is carrying out research as a creative way to generate new concepts, methodologies, and understandings, thus improving food conversion ratios and farm management that are environment-friendly. Good day everyone, this is Princess Everelle di Banaag, and together with my group, we prepared and plotted 10 scientific research, journals, and publications in local and international scale. So the first local research that we'll be discussing is entitled Influence of Different Extraction Methods on Fatty Acid Composition of Lipid Extracts of Cholera vulgaris Vigirinc from Laguna de Bay, Philippines. It was authored by Rochelle Jo Saracanlao, Jun Owen Acorda, and Hedeliza P. Hernandez. It was published on March of 2019 and was conducted in Laguna de Bay, Philippines. So the instruments used upon conducting the research are experiments, tests, and observations in order to acquire the necessary data for the success of this study. So the strength and weaknesses of the study. The strength is that it allows the researchers to utilize many variations. It gives researchers a high of level control, and it shows enough data and numerical representations, as well as the research study provide accurate statistics reports as well as figures to represent the numbers, making the results much more understandable for the readers. For its weakness, it can be affected by errors since it is a test that greatly depends on other independent variables. It might not be feasible in some situations, and the scope is limited to just a certain place.
Another published local research is entitled Fatty Acids in 6 Small Pelagic Fish Species under Crustacean Prey from Mindanao Sea, Southern Philippines. The authors of this study are Efrem Bicoy Metelo and Ana Arlene Asperas Eya. Their study was published in August of 2014, where the sample study were taken from coastal marine waters of Dipolog City that is located on the southern part of Mindanao Sea, Republic of the Philippines. Participants' observation and test are the tools they use to collect and analyze data in their study. Next is the analysis on the strong and weak parts of the research. The strong part of the research is it provides clear information on how the researchers collect their data, and also the tables and profiles they supplied as well as their study provide enough information for readers to grasp what's in their study. They also included free citations to back up their research. And also, in the weak part of the research, one of the flaws I've seen in their analysis is spacing and typographical problems, because as I read the articles, it is one in particular drew my interest since I believe that proper spacing and word type are essential for readers to fully comprehend what they have read.
The title of this research paper is An Analysis of the Nutritional and Health Values of Cholera parasimosa and Ulva fasciata, 2-chlorophyta collected from the Philippines. This study was authored by Rexy P. Magdugo et al. And their paper was published last June 24, 2020. And this study was conducted in Barangay Lawigan, Bislig City, Surigao del Sur, Philippines. The instruments used in this study includes the Fourier Transformed Infrared Spectroscopy or the FTIR analysis, and they also use the High Performance Anion Exchange Chromatography or the HPAEC analysis, and lastly, they utilize the fatty acid methyl ester or the FAME analysis. For the strength of this study is that the researcher utilized FTIR analysis, HPAEC analysis, and the FAME analysis. This makes the research methods more rigorous and reliable as well. So for the weakness, the subject requires pre-treatment by other methods in order to preserve its quality, and it is not cost efficient because solar drying is more cheaper compared to vacuum drying, which is costly. You may access the research paper by clicking on the digital object identifier that I provided on this video.
And another local research is entitled Fatty Acids Concentration of Farmed Tilapia, or known for its scientific name Oreochromis niloticus, in selected sites in the Philippines. The authors are Jean Galasper, Maria Gladys Aquino, and Gil Soriano. It was published last January 2020 and conducted at 4 selected sites, which are Nueva Ecija, Pampanga, Isabela, and Batangas. The instruments used by the researchers are experiments, testing, and observations. The DOI number is not provided in the article. The analysis or my critics in this article, the students are researchers focused on their topic. The thesis statement is not so broad and it still provides enough data through graphs and tables. The weak part in this research is what you can see in the title. Instead of Philippines, it becomes Philippinsa. It contains erratum or typos. Another thing is it has grammatical errors and it also lacks some punctuations. So that's all.
This is the local research study. Effect of dietary PE ratio and rhizocolonium into stocking densities on growth and profitability of live tilapia in intensive pond culture. The authors are the following: Augusto E. Serrano Jr., Barry Leonard M. Tumbocon, Broce is Abalos, Raul D. La Piña, Niña N. Buholano, Mac Rubin. This study was published on 5 August 2020. They conduct the study on College of Agriculture, Forestry, and Environmental Science, Aklan State University, Banaag Campus, Aklan, Philippines. The instrument used is experimental and observations. The analysis on the strong and weak part of the research. The strong is, I like the research study because easily understandable, frame and clear, and it is nice to everyone as a guide because it is accurate, replicable. The weakness of the study is typographical error of the discussion part, and this study is lack of information and poor abstract.
For the published international research, the first one to discuss is entitled Lipid Metabolism of Sea Urchin Paracentetus lividus in Two Contrasting Natural Habitats. It was authored by Roberto Aneda, Sylvia Silianit, Ricardo Melisse, Barbara Louis, and Maura Baroli. It was published in July of 2021 and was conducted in the 2 locations in Sardinia, Italy. So the instruments used during the research conduction are experiments, tests, and observation, which provides data acquired or necessary for the success of the experiments or the research study. The analysis of the research study. For the strength, the result of this research study showed that lipid accumulation in sea urchin gonads follow a periodic fluctuation in agreement with previous observations. The researchers' observation also during the study suggested that the total lipids from dietary sources concentrate in the gut. The amount of lipids in these later samples is actually always much higher than in the seagrass and microalgae analyzed. Thus, this research provide more knowledge, new knowledge to this field of research study or to this topic. And for the weaknesses of this study, it can be affected by errors. It might not be feasible in some situation, and the results suggest that rearing of P. levidus would be possible with diets very poor in LCPUFA, given a supplement of these nutrients is provided prior to gametogenesis, even when gonads are in growing premature stages, and the related literature attached for this claim is not that many. So the next research was entitled Effect of Prey Fish Lipids on the docosahexaonic acid content of total fatty acids in the lipid of Tonus albacaris or the yellowfin tuna. It was authored by Hiroyuki Saito, Kenji Ishihara, and Teruyaki Murase. It was published in June of 2014 and was conducted in the Laboratory of Lipid Chemistry, National Research Institute of Fisheries Science, Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, and Fisheries in Japan. The instruments used for this study are tests and observations in order for the researchers to acquire all the necessary informations, data, and observations for the success of this research. For the strengths and weaknesses of the study, It gives specific analysis and provides enough materials and evidences so that the readers could easily understand the results of the study. For the weaknesses, tables aren't easy to identify, too much punctuation marks are used, and important words like introduction neither capitalized nor bolded.
Well, another international research is entitled Effects of Dietary Lipids Level on Growth Performance of Marbled Spine-Foot Rabbit Fish, or known for its scientific name Siganus rivulatus. The authors are Jolie Ganawi, Locke Roy, Alan Davis, and Patrick Sod. It was published last November 10, 2010 in Beirut, Lebanon. The instruments used by the researchers are experiments, testing, and observations. The DOI number is provided in the slide. Well, next is my analysis or critiques in this article. The strands are researchers focus only with their topic. The thesis statement is not so broad, and they provide enough data through tables and graphs. The weaknesses that I have found in this research are rather it contains grammatical errors, it lacks punctuations, and it has inadequate conclusion, and the acknowledgement part contains one sentence only.
The title of this study is Effect of Short-Term Rotifer Enrichment with Marine Phospholipids on Growth, Survival, and Composition of Nigger Larvae. The author of this study is Serwa Gaderpo and Alicia Steves. They conducted this research in University of Urmia in the foreign country of Iran, and they published this paper last December 9, 2020. So the instruments used in this research includes HPTLC analysis, or the high performance thin layer chromatography, and they also use one-way analysis of variance, or ANOVA. They also utilize computer software like SigmaPlot version 12.0 to assess their raw data. So for the strength of this study is that the researcher utilized multiple experiments and statistical treatments in order to assess their experiments and the raw data coming from those experiments. So for the weaknesses, the researcher is not so sure about the importance or the role of 16:0 ratio in phospholipid synthesis and larval growth. And I think that aspect requires deep understanding and further studies in the future. I included the DOI, or the Digital Object Identifier, of their research paper so that the reader may access this paper if they want to read.
Another international research is entitled Polyunsaturated Fatty Acids in Fish Tissues More Closely Resemble Algal than Terrestrial Diet Sources. The authors of this study are Nadine Ibin, Finn Gu, Michael T. Brett, Stewart E. Bon, and Martin J. Maines. Their research was published in November 16, 2020, where the sample study were taken in headwater region of Subalpine River, Ibs catchment, Austria. Next is experimental and observation are the tools they use to collect, measure, and analyze the data in their study. Next is the analysis on the strong and weak parts of the research. In the strong part of the research, the study strength is that they clearly organize all of the information and provided enough evidences on the conclusions of the data they acquired. They also provide enough materials to support and confirm their study by truly explaining the tables and results. While in the weak part, the only thing I saw in the study is that the year, sources, and numbers were overly highlighted in blue, which could be distracting to other readers, and also several spacing problems for which I am unable to identify the term. Also, the words abstract, introduction, methods, and results are neither capitalized or bolded.
I have always been passionate in environmental sustainability and protection. Thus, I am grateful to be in a field where I am passionate about. science and the art of helping our community. If I were given a chance to conduct my own research study, I would greatly focus on fisheries ecology and management, aquatic ecology and management, including finding new knowledge for the development of sustainable and healthy aquaculture, socio-economic monitoring and evaluation in fisheries, adaptive management, and decision analysis theory and application, as well as on researches that tackles in environmental laws and policies.
Hi guys! By the way, my future plan in my research is all about the seaweeds in Pangal Bay, history of seaweed study, analysis of seaweed diversity, biogeography, and the status of coastal environment. I am very interested with this topic because I wanted to know what are the different types of seaweeds that thrive in the Pangal Bay and what makes them thrive in a specific region, and why do seaweeds have diverse colors, textures, and appearances. Apart from that, because we all know that Pangal Bay is abundant in its aquatic flora, which is seaweeds, it is not questionable on what is its impact to the lives of individuals. Because I myself, as a daughter of seaweed farmer who relies in this marine plant for daily survival, I have seen on how is it important having this gusto, as we called it, not just to earn money but also gives opportunities, particularly among women who process these seaweeds into food that would also probably help them for their daily consumption. So with that reason, well, as a proud seaweeds farmer daughter and grateful for having these seaweeds as marine plant that feeds us every day, I am very interested with the topic, and I also promised to myself that I would make these seaweeds as part of my college success. So that is my future plan and my research. Thank you.
After reading numerous papers regarding marine fish species, I began to consider my future plans for conducting my own research. And if I were given the opportunity, I would conduct future study on the impact of plastic pollution on aquatic creatures, as well as present situation and future solutions. Because as a daughter of fishermen, I asked my father about the differences between getting fish before and now. And he replied, before we caught a lot of fish, but now we only got few, which led me to believe it was due to the plastic pollution on the water. That is why I am interested in this type of research or topic, since I have a lot of questions about fishes and also about the fisherman's and fisher folks' perspective on how to solve this problem and why fishes are becoming scarcer this time.
As a fisheries student, I conducted full research and development on how marine organisms lives in a simple environment. And it includes principles and practices on how to control weeds, pests, and predators, and also health and diseases, harvesting and post-harvest technology.
As a fishery student in the future, and I were given the opportunity as professional researcher, I chose better management practices of feed production and management of Nile tilapia and milkfish in the Philippines. Because as I observed that tilapia and milkfish in the Philippines are most common and the most commercially important fish species in the Philippines. This kind of research study is very important, especially in the Philippines, to help the management to our first fishery resources, develop approaches to improve fishery stocks assessment and management, and it is communication to sustainable management and resilience of fishery resources, and it is specific to our country.
For my future research, I want my study to be related on the morphometrics of marine species. But then, I'm also interested on aquaculture, specifically the tilapia culture and shrimp culture. I'm interested in these topics because my parents are engaging in tilapia farming, and I want to contribute as well in the business of tilapia farming. So maybe I can conduct a study in the future about the tilapia and shrimp culture.